Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to watch something amazing. Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, the first fight, and I'm not going to say anything for a while. So, anyone who wants to comment, go right ahead.
Well, I'm kind of waiting, Charles, because a thought always pops into my mind is it's not like Marquez didn't know he was fighting a southpaw here, and the way he gets cut. Now, I haven't seen this since I think it's been 2004, so 16 years. But this the point is this just tells you how fast Manny Pacquiao was. You know he was sparring with southpaws, but this Manny Pacquiao, whoa, look at that right hand. Yeah. This Manny Pacquiao was just, when he do that little move he just did and then start throwing that left hand right down the middle, he was really, really lethal with that. And I would bet you that Marquez had never faced anybody with this kind of speed. So that's why Pacquiao was able to get through. Marquez is just such a good counterpuncher that's what made this fight all their fights all really competitive and really great fights.
Yeah, I agree with you too. The one thing is bizarre when you think about watching this fight with Manny Pacquiao. You mentioned about he looks unorthodox, and the more as I watch this first round, the first thing that comes to my mind is Aaron Pryor. It's just like, wow, yeah. I mean, just the moving and the herky, yeah. Then just that quick down,
the speed,
yeah,
just that quick, and you're like, what did he just do?
What happened?
And that's what Marquez is like, what happened?
Yeah. And to see that, and you're like, that shouldn't happen, particularly when you look at Marquez. The other beautiful thing about this is, wow, you watch he's connecting. Marquez is trying to get his bearings. And so quick. Again, boom. Two quick ones. And imagine watching this for the first time, John.
I remember.
Who the hell was who? Pack a what? Pack a rat? I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Okay, so it's at this point, for those of you keeping score at home, when Mr. Farmer called me on the phone and said, watch this. I'm like, okay, all right. So I said this.
It looked like it was over, see?
Yeah, it did. And then the fact that he got an extra punch when he was falling down. Pacquiao won this over very quickly.
And he's still getting tagged with it. Straight left right down the middle. Boom. Anytime I want to hit you, I'm going to hit you.
Yep. And he's trying. See, Marquez is actually doing what they always tell you not to do, which is don't fight back because you're going to get hit. You grab him, hold, delay, stall. But he's a fighter.
Yeah.
So he's going to fight. That's what he does.
The thing is I'm looking at it, I don't think he's hurt. He's just being overwhelmed.
He was wobbly there for a few seconds, but yeah.
But three knockdowns is supposed to be over. He's supposed to be over. Look at his mouth. His mouth is totally bloody. Yeah. They're trying to talk to him. It's like, this is over. You're thinking that this is over.
That's what I thought too when I was watching. The fight's over because he's just too much, and he keeps throwing that left hand. But
we're going to get a little controversy here. We'll get into it later. Hair Lebanon scored this a 10-6 round. We'll get into the scoring as it happens later. But let's look at this. 10-6.
Wow.
What can you do to come back from a 10-6 round?
You can't.
The whole of the second round, 4 rounds already.
Yeah, you can't. You can't come back.
You shouldn't come back from this, right?
Right. It's almost impossible.
Right. Now, a little background, because we're looking at this in retrospect, but as far as I'm concerned, the big fight that Pacquiao had before this was Marco Antonio Barrera.
Right.
And the big fight that Marquez had before this was Derrick Smoke Gainer. So both, obviously, champions, good fighters, but there's not a lot of history from what they've done before to give you what we see later, I guess. You got to start somewhere.
Well, I remember what I thought that immediately was, here we are in the second round, and Marquez actually looks okay. I mean, he's not wobbly. He's not buzzed. Like I said, I thought he was a little buzzed in the first round, but look, he's fighting back. He's countering back. He's drinking his own blood, and he's there. He's way behind, obviously, but And this is the epitome of, or epitomizes boxing is the never say die. The cliche time here, but also guts and that determination. A lot of guys, no, not to be insulting to them, but not a lot, but some would have just gave up. You know, in a sense, you get knocked down 3 times in the first round. What are you going to do? But you can see there is no quit in this guy. I mean, he's looking for ways to get back at Pacquiao, hitting him with right hands because, you know, the southpaw's kryptonite is right hands, and he's looking, and Pacquiao's doing that thing he learned from Freddie Roach. And you got to give it to both guys. But man, Marquez, man, you talk about digging down deep, huh, Charles?
Yeah, no doubt, and I think that's why, you know, this was the start for me, is the beginning of watching Marquez. I at this point said, I need to follow him. I don't know what he's going to do, but this is one of my guys. I like his heart, and I'm sure Pacquiao had at this point has disposed of a lot of other people very quickly. No doubt. With how dare you get up after 3 knockdowns? Are you kidding me? Are you going to try one more time to stay in the ring with me? But Marquez just kept fighting and keeping himself safe and still taking a lot of punishment too.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and that says a lot. Second round, I mean, amazing.
The thing that I noticed from the tail end of the first and most of the second, I'm watching Joe Cortez. And even, I mean, after somebody goes down the second time, the ref is usually almost in the fight as well. I'm going to have to stop this. He's right there with his head in there. Look, Joe Cortez looked at him and was like, he's okay. You know, I'm not going to have to jump in here and stop this. He's okay. Now, whether that's just me reading something into it or not, but look, he's over there off to the side. It's not like somebody's hurt and he's got to jump in and stop it after the next punch or two.
It's a good referee right there. You know, guys, that's what a good referee is. You see him, but then again, you don't see him. He doesn't interfere. He doesn't get in the way. He doesn't stop the action at the wrong time. The old saying, lets him fight. You know, let him fight. And that's exactly what he's doing. Really no clinching here as we see either, right, which has been kind of what we've noticed in the other fights too, is that, ooh, look at that right hand. I'm a little low, okay. But they're just fighting. This is just, that's just what this is. These are two guys saying, I didn't come here to dance. I came here to fight.
Another low blow.
Yeah. Now, I didn't check this out, and I apologize for that. Was Freddie Roach in Pac-Man's corner now, this fight?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay. I think so.
So you got Nacho Beristain in Marquez's corner, Freddie Roach in his corner. So, again, that should be the tip-off. We've got 2 good trainers as well, very good trainers.
Yeah, when you just see that point of them figuring each other out, and I think it came to a point where Marquez said, you know what, I'm going to start hitting you in the body, and then I'll go up top afterwards, but I got to start pushing you back. And the way to do that is starting to bang you in the body a little bit. Right. And if that means a little low to keep you honest.
So try to slow him down a little bit. You know, the body shots, try to slow him down a little bit. Yeah, and the professor, you know, Marquez's trainer, he's pretty cerebral. So I would think I would put Marquez in that same as the same kind of guy in a sense, somewhat cerebral as a boxer, because he's a thinking man's fighter. You know, he finds ways. We saw it against Juan Diaz when he was in that tough fight. He finds a way to counter what his opponent is doing, and he just starts figuring out Pacquiao. And Pacquiao was, in those days especially, was pretty much the same thing, and he was knocking everybody out with that lethal left hand or whatever, and he hadn't faced anybody who could counter him like this and then maybe outthink him in the ring. So that's what made it such. All their fights, like I said, are just incredible fights.
Well, I'm glad you referenced the Juan Diaz fight, because I'm thinking we know from that history that Marquez is a slow starter. We didn't know that this time. We didn't know what he was. He's like, okay. Oh, get all excited there, son. No, not yet.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's part of it too, where you see that's why you have a respect for Marquez, because you're like, you can dance, you can showboat, you can collect your check early. But I'm still going to work, and that's what I love about him, because as you can see, the nostrils are bleeding, the man is hurt, but he's like, let's go back to work. Put your lunch pail down and put your hard hat on, and let's get back at it. 25, 90, 25, 29, 25.
We mentioned, we mentioned at this point, I think, and I think falsely, as we're watching this fight, I think we falsely accused Pacquiao of being a one-trick pony. That all he was trying to do was, throw out that that somewhat right jab and then come straight down the pipe with the left.
And bob and weave.
More than that. Yeah,
bob and weave.
He does more than that. I don't think that we, at that point, when we were watching this, like, okay, Marquez figured out that one thing and he didn't have anything else to go to. I think we're wrong, or we were wrong. He's doing more than one thing. He's not just standing right in front of him trying to throw that left down the middle. He's trying to do other stuff. Marquez looks like he's figured out most everything. See, that wasn't right down the middle. That was a little looping left.
I think Frank, that what Marquez had to figure out was Pacquiao's speed. It's think of anything in sports, anything you played basketball, whatever. A guy's got a certain quickness, or you got to adapt to what he's doing, and I think that's what he started to do. He knew he was aggressive. He knew Pacquiao was aggressive, and Marquez is a natural counterpuncher. You're right. That's an insult to Pacquiao. He's not really a one-trick pony, but he does do a lot of the same thing over and over again. But to exploit it takes a really, really good fighter to time him right. And I think that's what the issue was, is the speed, and it would always give Marquez trouble. It gives everybody, gives almost everybody problems, that Manny Pacquiao speed. And this is a very young Manny Pacquiao. This is a 25, 26-year-old Manny Pacquiao. So it's just, that's what you do in sports. And Marquez had that talent that he was able to adapt and figure out what Pacquiao was doing. Even though he was getting pummeled at times and beat, he was still able to counter Pacquiao and go, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying about the one-trick pony phrase, Frank, but he did it a lot. He went straight down the middle, but he's successful. So, if he's successful and it's working, why would you change? I get that. Right. But it does not mean that he's not capable of, like you said, doing what he's doing. Again, I look at Aaron Pryor, the way he's able to be versatile and change up, still coming at you from a different angle. But again, let's be real. When we're watching this fourth round, they're going back and forth, trying to figure each other. And now Marquez is tapping a little bit too. The main part of it is Pacquiao, in my opinion, for the longest time, had not faced anybody like Marquez. Right. And never did he really, except maybe one or two occasions for the rest of his career, face a guy with this type of IQ and skill set.
And this is starting to look a lot like, as you said, the Arguello Pryor setup. Not necessarily the way it's playing out, but Marquez looks kind of in stature like Arguello in his setup, and Pacquiao is throwing from angles and things that look a little unorthodox like Pryor did.
Yeah, he's just aggressive, and in a way, I'm speaking of Pacquiao, in a way, that's what Marquez wants. He's the classic counterpuncher, and it takes patience, and it takes timing, and all those things. So in that respect, Pacquiao was made for Marquez. If you think about it, because what he does, he's going to just keep trying to time him, and as we know, he's doing much better. I'll tell you right now, it's the fifth round, right? Yeah. I was standing up figuring the fight was over. I was going into when the first round ended, I went and got something to drink because I thought, I'm just going to drink some water. This fight's going to be over. Then I sat back down and went, no. And by this point, I'm like, holy moly, this is incredible. This guy is – and Pacquiao is still exploding on him and nailing him with punches. But Marquez is taking it, and he always would be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too. And he was willing to do whatever he had to what he needed to do to slow down Pacquiao. That means if he hit him with a body shot, right now he's on top of him, and he's like, okay, counter, here we go. Hitting on the left side, that body is slowing Pacquiao down. Even the lower blows. It's like, I'm going to do what I had to do to calm you down a little bit and bring you to my level. But now he's beating you to the punch with the counter punches. But Pacquiao does not stop. How could you not love this action?
Yeah.
You wonder why I called
fantastic.
Well, you wonder why I called you.
When you called me, and then you said, and he knocked him down 3 times in the first round. Like, well, what's the point of watching it now for? It's like you said, John. This is going to be over. And I'm sitting there like, he's still in this. Wow.
Wow, left. Oh,
Look at that.
Yeah. Pacquiao, back. Marquez like, all right, no problem.
Yeah, and Pacquiao in those days, when he would get hit with a good shot, he'd say, "Okay, come on," like Golovkin was doing a few years ago. Like, that was a good one. I'm coming right back at you. And he was a little, as he said, he was a little crazy back then. He's young and a little nutty, so he would just start firing away. Maybe recklessly might be a word that you might throw in there, but damn, I mean, this is one of those fights for the ages.
Yeah.
Now we're at the start of the 6th, so we're at the midway point. Now
Look at that.
I'm looking at Letterman's scorecard, going, okay, maybe, but I still in my head have a 10-6 round in the back of my head. So in my thing, actually in the front of my head, I'm still thinking Marquez is going to have to get a knockout at some point. I don't think he can get if Pacquiao starts
Knocked down.
just gets 2 or 3, knockdown at least 2 or 3 more rounds in the bank. Marquez is going to have, even a knockdown may not help him.
Yeah, maybe 2 knockdowns. Yeah.
So, and he doesn't. He's not fighting like that, Charles. As you said, he's patient. He's under control. He's doing what he has to do. He has belief in himself, even though someone's got to be doing the math in the corner, going, "Come on, kid, you got to do more." Something's got to be happening there.
Blowing it, kid. Oh.
Yeah, you're blowing it, kid. You're blowing it.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. It comes down to that too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well,
you made a good point. That was, look at that right hand. That one got Pacquiao.
Boom.
That's the right hand that knocks him down in the last fight.
Boom.
Aguayo and Pryor, that was a good comparison now that I'm watching this, because you're right. Aguayo was the more technically sound, and Marquez, you can see that. He's more of the sound, classic fighter, where Pacquiao, Pryor is athletically more gifted, more reckless in a sense, awkward, relentless in a sense, that the way he's coming all the time. But that's actually a very good comparison, especially since we just watched Arguello and Pryor, which we did a few weeks ago. If people want to go watch that one was an incredible one. But yeah, no, that was really a good comparison, guys.
Well, what I'm seeing is that almost fencer's footwork for Marquez and for Arguello. It's both feet are moving in tandem when he makes a play. Not off balance, not going side to side. It's boom, 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 boom. Go up, go back. Both feet are pretty much moving at the same time. Whereas Pacquiao is bouncing like Pryor, bouncing, throwing when both feet are in the air, throwing from this end. It's a really nice contrast in styles. And as Charles mentioned again when he called, but and every time we talk about it, and as we say, styles makes fight. As Charles said, this is you can cheer for both of them because both their styles are they're both fighting a good fight. It's hard not to be excited for both of them. Yet you can see that this contrast of styles, as we've talked about, makes this trilogy, quadrilogy, whatever the hell you want to call it, worthwhile.
Yeah, that's my favorite line. Styles make fights. Charles is always talking about crafty. I'm always talking about styles making. This is a classic example. Styles make fights, make really good fights.
Boom.
Yeah. Wow.
He didn't have that counter the first round. First round, he got hit with that.
He's
down.
bleeding. Pacquiao's bleeding.
Yep.
Yeah, and like you said,
go ahead, Charles. I'm sorry.
I think part of it too is, you just have to look at those body shots have played a major point to allow Marquez to get closer, and now he's going for the head and winging it. Where now I feel comfortable. I'm tapping you with combinations, but it starts with the body, and now it's like now we're even. So we're in round 7. I can fight you the way I want to fight you now.
Right. Now, we saw Harold Lutterman's scorecard come up there, and I know when I saw this when I'm watching it, and I didn't quite understand scoring, I think the way I do now, thanks to Max DeLuca for trying to explain it to me, that there's no way this is 56-55. It's just not possible. And of course, I wasn't doing the math. I'm just thinking, if that's a 10-6 round, that can't be possible. So, like you said, Charles, we're at even now, just about.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm sorry, Charles, just real fast. I remember sitting here at this point going, holy Toledo, Juan Manuel Marquez might win this fight.
I still didn't believe it.
It's amazing.
I couldn't believe it.
But let's be real too. Harold Letterman has been known in the past, may he rest, has been known to come with some. I'm just saying he has been known.
I know.
A little bit out what we consider outlandish scores. That you know what fight was he watching? Even the judges watching because of the outcome. But you know, everybody has their own opinion, which is cool.
And also understand, as we've talked before, just because it looks like it's one thing, all you have to do is win the round. You don't have to win 3 rounds in one. You just have to win the round. So as you win a round and then put another round in, it starts to add up. There you go, Charles. Back to the body again.
There you go. I told you, my body's that lifesaver, baby.
Body work.
If nothing else, to give him something else to think about. Because whenever he throws that body shot, Pacquiao stops coming forward and has to jump back.
Yeah. Keeps him honest.
Just to give him something else to think about.
Keep him honest because he's felt that wrath. A couple of them have been low, and it's like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And now he knows he just can't dive in, even though he is, but he's going to expect something back.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing a blank here. The Pacquiao bloodied some guy, and I want to say it's Mayorga, but I know it wasn't Mayorga. Who did he fight? That big dude that looked, even though it was probably welterweight, looked like he should have been like a cruiserweight. Margarito, thank you. Yeah. And that we were talking about the speed difference. You know, you don't always have to be the biggest guy if you've got that kind of hand speed and that ability to get in and out. And he just messed Margarito up. I mean,
he sure did.
And when you see that again down the road, you're thinking, that's what I thought this was going to be from the first round. That he's just too fast for him. And Margarito never made the adjustment, but man, Marquez has.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think too that part of this is the style. Again, we're talking about that being unorthodox and that awkward style. A lot of fighters have not seen this before, so they didn't know how to deal with it. It's hard to stop something that you've never seen in the gym. You've never seen anybody come at you crazy. To make adjustments, it's like, can I get out of the way? What can I do? Well, that's a credit to the boxing skills of Marquez.
Right. Yeah.
This doesn't stop.
Headbutt.
Where do you find a sparring partner to fight like this?
Yeah, exactly. And when they're connecting, that's a problem.
Right.
When they're tapping you, you're like, is that the Tasmanian devil? What the hell? Where's he coming from?
Yeah, he was so energetic, Pacquiao. It's like he just kept bouncing, like you guys were saying, and kept throwing punches. And you're right. How do you find a sparring partner that can even come close to being able to do this? You don't. You find somebody who's like a shadow of what he does. But Marquez, again, credit goes to him for being able to adapt to this Tasmanian devil with all these punches from all these crazy angles, and then start finding a way back, you know, and that is just something. And you know, Pacquiao's got to be thinking, how did he survive all those shots that I hit him with?
Right.
You know, that's got to be disheartening too. I mean,
but you know, if you're fighting at middleweight, for example, and you want to simulate somebody's speed, you bring in a sparring partner that maybe is featherweight, right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, they're fighting this and I'm drawing a blank now because I'm just so into the fight. They're fighting this at 126. Who are you going to bring in? Who's going to be faster?
Straw weight.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You can't simulate this. This this is, I mean, impressive on both ends. It really is.
Yeah, that's what made
And
it
the
a classic.
non-stop action.
Yeah, that's what made it a classic. They both just kept coming at one another. Again, you're watching this fight. We're in round 9, and when you think back, there's no way in hell you said somebody can get up off the canvas and fight this way in round 9. It just doesn't seem feasible or logical.
Well, and I'm going to say something, go a little off script here, but I even though they're not doing things anymore, I am going to thank HBO Sports now that because we've ripped it from the internet and using it, but also for what they did, putting fights like this on. You know, we didn't get this from anybody else at this time frame. We got it on HBO Sports, HBO, you know, After Dark, those kind of things. I like Charles when he called me. It's like, who? Pick Mouse? Who are these guys? You know, and of course, they became staples. But these were just two guys fighting. You know, even though it's for a title, like you said, 126. What are they showing these guys for? You know, I'm glad they did.
Yeah,
it's the argument that the discussion we've had. I think it was about a year ago that, you know, can we make a case for the lighter weights to carry boxing? I think this is one of those fights where we see that, yes, we can, you know.
Yeah, you know, Frank, and I remember slightly that I don't think anybody really expected this type of a fight. I think Pacquiao was favored. You know, he was coming off the Marco Antonio Barrera win, as you said, and Marquez wasn't riding as high. So the thought was that Pacquiao was going to maybe not steamroll him in one like we just saw a little while ago, but win the fight. And it wouldn't be like this. And that's what makes sports so incredible is you think you have things figured out. It's like a lot of people. It's going to go like this, and then
boom.
Look at that. No, you don't. You don't have it figured out. It might look a certain way on paper, but when you get two guys like this, contrasting styles in the ring and start fighting, things can go different. And it did. This is a real example of that.
Yeah. I think part of it, too, is this fight, along with the others, just made it, to me, one of the greatest rivalries in boxing. Because every time that you heard that they wanted to fight, you never heard somebody say, I don't want to see that. You might say, is it too many fights? But you said, okay, they're fighting again. I'm watching it. Because you wanted to see it. And every time they fought, even though I didn't think Marquez would ever get a decision, I wanted to see it.
Right. Well, they could have been fought in the Home Depot parking lot. I would have seen this. I mean, come on. You know, if they both got out of the car and one of them, you know, double parked the other end, let's go. All right. Someone sell some tickets real quick. But something else that's important to see from this, that in my opinion, is that, and as we said, you know, John, you said it best, that Marquez came off the Barrera fight. Marquez came off of the Derrick Gainer fight. This is kind of the two of the landmark fighters for the next, you know, decade or so.
Yes.
You know, and it's whether it be Morales or Boom or who. We've been watching these guys now for a while, and we were fortunate enough to see them pretty much at the beginning of their peak. Ooh, nice right.
Right in, yep.
You could see that Marquez just made up his mind that when he comes in, I'm just gonna throw a punch, you know, and I'm especially my right hand, and he hit him a lot of times when Pacquiao was forcing the action, and that obviously was planned. It worked good, but man, he had to go through hell to be able to do that because he got hit with some hellacious shots.
Yeah,
but that right hand, that was a key.
We've seen that it's usually not a good idea to try and counter Pacquiao because he's so fast and he's in and out. Well, and that's what happened in the first round. And Marquez said, I'm a counter puncher. I'm going to figure it out, and he has.
Yeah, plus, too, he makes, with the way that the work that Marquez has been putting on in these late rounds, he's giving Pacquiao something else to think about. Because the first was the body. Now I'm hitting you up top. And Pacquiao can't be as free-flowing, although he was there right there. He can't be as free-flowing just to kind of go, you know, triple punch combination. You know, which used to be his staple early on. because he was so fast, nobody could match him.
Well, the nice contrast between this fight and the last fight we did, which was George Foreman and Ron Lyle, was, these guys are as busy, but I haven't seen one of them slow down to try and catch a breath. So maybe it's because we had heavyweights as opposed to these guys. But it was like the previous fight we did was like, wow. And then they come at boom, 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 boom. All right, your turn to breathe now. They're still going at it. And not to say one is better than the other, because I was excited about the last fight we did, but this is, two well-conditioned, well-trained athletes that are prepared to go the long haul.
I would say, and this is my opinion, obviously, it's just you made me think about it. I would think this fight for a pure boxing person is the better fight, mostly because Foreman and Lyle were just like two in a tough man contest. Right. Just they barely even were ducking. They were just throwing punches. And he's a great fight, not taking anything away from it. But you can see the skill and as you said, the conditioning, the will, which of course was in Lyle and Foreman as well. But that little bit more that was brought in, and you got two equally matched guys here, both determined to win, like Lyle and Foreman, but with that little bit of extra, like I said, technique thrown in there. That maybe pretty is the wrong word, but maybe classic in the sense fits. Because they see there's thought going on here, where Pacquiao comes in and then bam, Marquez hits him with that right hand. He's like, I know what you're doing, man, and I'm going to keep trying to do that. And so to me but I mean, they're both great fights. They're just, you're right. It's really hard. You can't really compare them. They're just totally great fights.
I think part of what it is, if you sit down when the fight, when you're watching it live, if you're back in the 76 and you go, okay, we've got Foreman and Lyle coming up. All right, that's going to last about 20 minutes. You're not planning on making an evening out of it. You're not saying this is going to last for the full 15 rounds. You're not thinking that, which is good. This one you're thinking, even though obviously the guy goes down 3 times in the first round, this is going to be a classic. We're going to figure it out. It should go 12 rounds. If it doesn't, it's at least going to go 8 until somebody figures it out.
Yeah, I mean, but as you continue to see, they're both making adjustments, waiting to see who can get that extra punch in. But I think right now both of them have earned the respect of each other, and it's now like, okay, we got to keep moving. Because how can I get that next shot, that one that might just be the difference? And it's still some anticipation going on. And in round 11, which says a lot, I better not throw that punch because I might get knocked out.
Right. And I think you used the word correctly, respect. Mm-hmm. And I think that translated through the next 27 fights they had together, is that there's still respect there.
And I'm not sure if he ever said it, but I can almost bet you Pacquiao knew Marquez was the real deal.
Oh, yeah.
I think he did. I think he did, Charles. Yeah, he did say that, how good he is.
Except when they probably asked Marquez who's going to win between him and Mayweather, and Marquez said, no question.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who really knew boxing, I don't sound like a snob here, but anybody who really, really knew boxing, studied and knew Mayweather was going to beat Pacquiao.
Yeah.
That look was like,
yeah.
The 12th and final round. Now, we're going to throw a couple things. Harold Letterman's got 105, 101. Pacquiao. Again, and I'm not scoring along with it, and I wasn't then. If I'm putting that first round into my head, that sounds about right. I mean, just because I'm looking at it mathematically, not actually how I would have scored each round. I'm like, he had too much to overcome. If he's down 10-6 and the rest of the fight's even, then he should be down, 4 or 5 points. Yeah, that's not too far-fetched, as far as the math of it. Now, whether that's true because of who won what round, but he just had so much to overcome. Again, as I'm watching it live, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I never really had problems with the scores, really, to be honest, because I actually got annoyed at Marquez and the professor for moaning and groaning about the losses. I mean, I understood it. He lost one, or is it two, right? He lost two really close ones, a draw, and then he knocked out Pacquiao. So I believe, my memory's not as good as it used to be. But I thought because of it's hard because Pacquiao's a little busier, and Marquez might be a little bit more accurate. So it's really hard. Some of these rounds are so close that it's subjective. So I when it's like that, I don't get really aggravated at the judges because, they're sitting there right at ringside, and you've been at fights. It's hard sitting there at ringside with a crowd screaming and to judge fights. So I never really got aggravated with this as far as it goes because, again, Pacquiao was a little busier. Marquez, with his counterpunchers rarely get the credit they deserve. And they're doing things you don't see a lot of times because you're focusing on the moving Pacquiao. He's here, he's there, he's a whirling dervish, right? So sometimes you miss it, and then you watch the fight again, and you go, "Oh God, I didn't even see that the first time." So that's why I've always been kind of like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine."
Yeah. Plus, too, you start to see the blood on Pacquiao, and you kind of wonder. But I think overall, if you're watching it, it does make me think to myself now, again, how in the hell is Marquez going to try to make this closer? How is this close? Because as Frank had mentioned, it seems like there was too much to overcome.
Yeah.
Nice left, though. Yeah, we've got 10 seconds to figure it out.
Yeah. Boom, boom. You got to think Pacquiao's like, I won this. Look, I'm never going to see you again. I'm never going to see you again. I will never see you again. I'm going to move on. You'll still do what you do.
All right, now, here's the thing. And unfortunately, the page that I had everything on is in another room now. But the scores were,
the draw. Yeah, it was a draw.
Right. Came out as a draw. And then one of the judges came out later and said, I didn't know I could score the first round 10-6. I scored it 10-7. If I'd have known that, then we would have given the fight to Pacquiao because it would have been majority decision at that point. That scares me for a lot of different reasons. It scares me the judge didn't know that, but it also makes me realize it doesn't happen that often either. You don't have a 10-6 round come up that much. Why would you? So I think that's how close it was. I don't want to delve into that too much just because it takes away from what we just saw. It was a great fight. But again, as you look at a fight where the guy comes out and is, I don't think he was hurt. He was just stunned a lot. But he's got to recover from that. And how do you process that throughout the course of the fight? Okay, I got to win this round. I got to get a knockdown here. I got to do this. I mean, that takes away from just fighting, I think. And to Marquez's credit, he did a great job. To get a draw out of this is fantastic, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly, Frank. I remember thinking that I thought Pacquiao won this one, and then maybe the second. I can't remember the second or third one because I haven't seen him. I thought Marquez might have eked it out with one of those. So we were not going to talk about scoring, as you said, and then the emphatic fourth fight. But that was the story, too, to me, was and Pacquiao, I believe, afterwards, and how Marquez came back from all this and made such a fight of it. Made it the fight of the year, right? Which just takes two guys to make a fight of the year. And again, like I said, you talk about digging deep. I mean, this is the kind of film, if you want to show somebody, this is what you mean by you take somebody to hell and you don't think they're going to crawl their way out of it. Okay, they're not even crawl their way out of it. He's not in survival mode like a lot of guys where you'll see a boxing where a guy's getting beat up, but he's in survival mode. He's trying to go the distance, right? Marquez wasn't trying to go the distance. He was trying to knock Pacquiao out. So again, that I don't know where that necessarily comes from. I don't know if you're just born with that. I don't know if that's in your upbringing or whatever. But Marquez had that. He always had that when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Or he was getting beat up, but he kept trying, kept kept trying. Bradley, the same thing. Win or lose, there was never going to be any quitting that guy.
Well,
Yeah,
Charles,
right.
let me ask you a question real quick before you go. There was a question of whether we wanted to include this fight into what we did, and John mentioned something that's like, well, we talk about it all the time. Why not? I mean, this is kind of, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Charles. This is kind of the jumping off point of the 2000s, of the new, I don't want to call it new wave, but the new era of the way that we started watching fights. There's a better way of wording that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. Plus, too, we got to realize, and my memory's not that great either, John. But I don't think we really had that strong of that heavyweight division. So,
Right.
we were desperate. I was desperate for something new, and this was pleasantly a pleasant surprise to watch these two little dudes go after it with great skill. And,
Right.
and when you think about the number point now that I look at it, I can see how Pacquiao won the fight. Early on, I think I was just so hyped earlier in the first time I saw it, like, it's a draw. This is amazing. This is great. But now that I've seen it again, I can see how Pacquiao won it. But then, and we don't want to talk about scoring too much, but to his credit, the one thing I like about Marquez, and I was always one of his biggest fans, is he always started to make changes because they would always tell him why he lost. So he made changes, a little tweak here, a little tweak there in the second fight. In the third fight, he clearly made major tweaks, thinking he was going to get that decision. And when I watched that, I said, wow. So that's what just made it even better. And Frank and I talked about this before. I think we actually watched the third fight together at a bar or something like that. And then we had talked about it. And after that third fight, I said to him, there is no way in hell Marquez is going to get a decision. Ever.
Right.
Ever. He's going to have to knock him out. And true to form, if karma, whatever, it happened. He deserved that. I'm sorry. I know that sounds pro Marquez, but even though they the first one was a draw, maybe they just thought something else. But I thought the way that he fought and the way he competed against a ongoing and a Pacquiao that was improving steadily, the way he fought him and gave him some of the best competition. As a boxer or a boxing fan, you thought he deserved to have a little victory. And he had to wait, but he got it.
Now,
Yeah, it did.